Welcome to the Chain Out Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy and Daryl.
Well, we've got it right with the Chain Out Podcast part. It's Season 3, Episode 135. The part about your hosts, Jeremy and Daryl, it might look a little different for everybody tonight. You've got me, the wonderful Jeremy, but that beautiful bearded man is not on the camera tonight because, unfortunately, he's suffering from the worst sickness you can get as a podcaster, and that is a sore throat and a cough. So he is not on camera. He doesn't want to cough all over everything while we're chatting tonight, but he is on the keys and on the buttons like he normally is. So if you do want to reach out to him, you can chat with him in the chat. Try to listen to me too tonight if you can. I'd appreciate that. But first thing I wanted to do was say it is amazing out here in Alberta, and probably most of Canada, that the rain has finally stopped, at least for a bit. We've got a bit of a reprieve. So I don't know if you can believe it. I can finally shower again. I think everyone at work is happy about that. I don't know if it happened to you, but in my small town, in Daryl's small town, there was some concern that the sewers would back up. And I know a lot of people whose basements flooded. So there was a bit of a water advisory, but we're back at it. So how did you fare? Is your house any worse for wear? Did you survive Rainageddon? Let us know in the comments, and Daryl will jump on there for you as well. Now, it did feel like the rain wasn't going to stop, and tonight's guest that we're going to have on is unstoppable in his own right. He currently holds a world record for the most disc golf courses played in one day. His name is Mr. Craig Ireland, and he'll be coming on to tell us all about it in about 15 minutes. Another great Canadian doing great things in disc golf. So we're going to get to what was happening this past weekend. But before we do that, I just want to see who's out there in the chat. And I can see that Sonia's in there. Sonia, great to see you. Still got your disc hanging out here, ready to get to you. Eventually you'll get that Berg. I've been told by a birdie that it might even be this weekend. And Mr. Mike Biette, good to see you out there too. I still got to catch up with you because I know you went out to the Swan City Showdown and got a chance to preview those Grand Prairie National courses, and I want to know all about that. But moving right along, this past weekend was the Paul Macbeth Foundation's Throw for More Day presented by UDisc. It was held on June 20th this year, longest day of the year, so that you could have as much sunlight as you could to get your rounds in. And the way it works is that for every round played and recorded in the UDisc app, UDisc would contribute 10 cents to the Paul Macbeth Foundation. And in total, 53,798 holes were played. And between UDisc's donations and the money raised by players, a total of $79,707 was raised this year for the Paul Macbeth Foundation, which's goal is to bring disc golf to underserved communities worldwide. And as I was looking and kind of investigating that for the show, I noticed that there's a gentleman named Dustin Leatherman who ended up being the big money maker. He raised over $9,000 and played 240 holes. And I'm not good enough for the math, so I had one of those computer bots help us out here. And 240 holes is the equivalent of 13.333 repeated rounds. So he must have been playing maybe some 24-hole rounds or something like that. Might even be enough to give our guest tonight a run for their money. So as we were out there on the weekend, Josh Smith of Disc Golf Alberta, he was participating in and promoting the event. His goal was to play 100 holes, which was still way more than what Daryl and I were willing to do, and maybe what a lot of people did. We went out there and we played 18 holes at Hermitage Park on Saturday morning, and it was raining. There were mosquitoes. It was just kind of that horrible weather, the kind of weather that you might get on a desert island. And as a result, we turned it into a Desert Island Discs round. We had Josh Kern, a local MA50 player and friend, come out with us. Josh Smith, Daryl, and I, we had a full card, and we played the 18 holes at Hermitage. I was playing with my EV7 Phi, which I never go without. That's my favorite putter. My lightweight Fission Trail, which is another easy guess if you know me. And then I also threw in the lightweight Firebird, which was kind of my curveball, and ended up coming in pretty handy for a couple different shots that I threw. Now, Daryl, he had his trusty dart, his T-Bird, and his Orc. Now, he had an Orc, but I don't know that he even threw it. It seemed like it was maybe a 2-disc round for the most part with him with his dart and his T-Bird. But The one thing with the rain and the mosquitoes, which was interesting, was Daryl forgot an umbrella. So he was out there just braving the weather. I had an umbrella, and I'd be standing in a spot, no rain on my head, and then the mosquitoes would come out from the grass and fly right up and cover me all over the place. So it didn't matter what you were doing. You were either getting wet, you were getting bitten by mosquitoes, or getting both. But somehow we had a great day and had a lot of fun. Daryl and I had a tight battle right until the very final hole. And what happened was I took a double bogey on hole 17. And after that, we were both tied at -1 going into hole 18. Now, if you don't know, hole 18 at Hermitage is a bit of a tough hole. Slightly uphill, requires a straight shot down a wooded path. Not too far, but you got to have that right shot. So Daryl was first on the tee. He takes his trusty dart, throws it right up the middle like you're supposed to, and he's sitting in circle 2, and he's going to be looking at a pretty big putt. I throw my Fission Trail, turn it over a bit. It goes into the woods, but it felt like it was pushing forward, but we weren't sure. So we got up there, we took a look around, and it turned out I was just outside of circle 1, obstructed by a tree. There were spruce trees and everything kind of there, where Daryl was a little further back, but he had a straight shot at it. So he steps up to his disc. He looks at the basket. I'm sure he was focused on one chain link, and I can tell you what he was doing. He was saying to himself, I'm going to have to spin this disc, because that's what he always says when he's putting. I'm going to have to spin this disc if I'm ever going to get it there. And I got to do this so I don't have to play another hole with Jeremy, because he's going to want to play a playoff if we tie. So Daryl does it. He focuses. He sinks his putt. Now the pressure's all on me. Here I am thinking, how am I going to get around this tree? How am I going to get this disc in the basket, push that playoff, get that birdie? Well, I am no Elise Middling. I cannot do the splits when I do my straddle putts, but I did stretch myself out a bit. I also said to myself, I got to throw this a little harder, got to throw it uphill, got to get this one in the basket. I lined it up, bent down, put the disc down low, put the disc up high. It's sailing. It's going to get in there. We're going to have a tie. We're going to a playoff. And then it hit the cage of the basket and it fell. And I took the par, and I was still shot below par for the round. But I did, unfortunately, lose to Mr. Daryl. So that's where we stood. It was another one of those chain-out battles, but Josh Smith with a -9 kind of beat everybody on the card. So he got to hand out our famous, or I don't know if they're famous, maybe infamous chain-out emoji stuffies that we have for the keychains. And that's kind of how we spent our Throw for More weekend. Josh went on further to play the rest of his rounds. He also, as part of that promotion, he was giving out a disc to anyone who came out and participated. Well, did a draw for one. He didn't give one to everyone. I just happened to win that draw and got a beautiful glow-in-the-dark Castaplast Svea. So thanks to Josh Smith and Disc Golf Alberta for getting that for me. So that was awesome. What did you do for your Throw More event? Did you get out and play? Did you brave the weather? Did you get out in the rain? How did it go for you? We'd like to know. Now, at this point here, it's always great for us to mention PDGA Canada. They support the Chain Out podcast, and we appreciate that. They've been supporting all different tournaments and everything out in Canada. So if you're not a PDGA member, be sure to consider joining. Any funds that you do put into a Canadian tournament through PDGA come right back into Canada. They don't go to the US or anywhere else. So that's a great thing to know when you're supporting them. Going to go for the tournament review side of things. This past weekend, there were 17 different events that were scheduled to take place in Canada. And I know what you're going to ask yourself, because I ask myself this every week. And did we get all of the provinces and the Yukon covered? Because that's our main disc golf places in Canada. Were we there? Were we close? Well, we were close, but we didn't do it. We got Ontario had events, BC, Saskatchewan, Alberta, PEI, and Nova Scotia. And that included 9 C tiers, 1 B tier, and an A tier. That A tier was the BC Open AMS tournament. And when I was taking a look through PDGA Live and looking at the scores and such, we had a couple of our regular listeners out at the tournament from Winnipeg, and that was Dina and Kevin Talgoy. Kevin finished after his MA40 win in Kamloops the weekend before. He ended up finishing tied 6th in MA40, and then Dina took first place in FA40. So congrats to the two of them. I think that was the end of their little West Coast swing that they were doing, and they're probably heading back to sunny Winnipeg for the summer. Now, closer to home, The Alberta Open took place down in Strathmore, Alberta. Noah Higgins took the win on the MPO side with authority as he finished minus 24, which was 15 strokes higher than second place. Now, I did see a video that he posted of the third round, and it looked like the weather was pretty bad. So I dug into that and got us a little more information about what was happening there. So I'll get to that in a minute. But one of the things he did was his first round, he shot a 10:30 rated minus 12, all pars and 12 birdies. It was pretty clean round. And he also had his mom out there too, and she did not look like Rebecca was enjoying the wind at all with how bad it was. They did play the Strathmore course, which is a little park course that Noah told us about, where you kind of weave in and out of the community, playing holes, crossing over to a neighborhood, playing a few more holes. That was their first round. But then the second round was at a course called Four Sisters, and that's a course that's been recently cleaned up down in Strathmore, and it's a challenging one. It's a 24-hole course that's over 9,425 feet long. So that's a pretty big challenge to be taking on. And they played two courses on the Saturday, the short course and the long course, and then played the long course again on Sunday. Looking at the scorecards, I was taking a look, and I want to shout out Ben Rudolph out of Calgary, who played in MA1, because he had quite the roller coaster of a round on that windy day on round 3. So get this, he starts out pretty pedestrian. He starts out with a par on hole 1. That's pretty good. Goes for another par on hole 2. Then he steps up to the third hole, which is a 735-foot par 5. Takes the double bogey. So now he's kind of getting him down a little bit. Maybe he's struggling, but no, that doesn't stop him, because he steps up to hole 4 and he snags a 309-foot ace. So to me, if that's not the way to follow up a double bogey, I don't know what is. So great round for him. Although I don't think I'll tell you much about the rest of the round, because I think the weather really started to impact it. Let's just say he finished second, and it was a little bit creative on the scorecard there. But way to go, Ben, on getting that tournament ace down there in Alberta. Now, I did see another one of our listeners, Luke Glidal, was playing the event, and I saw that, as I looked through the scorecards on the second day, people were dropping off like you wouldn't believe. There were more DNFs in this tournament than I've ever seen. So I asked Luke, I said, what happened here? How did it get to this point? So he got back to me and he said there was storms, there were downed power lines due to rogue excavators in the area, there were weather delays, there were 70 to 80 kilometer winds, and Sunday was Father's Day. And he figures all of that contributed to the DNFs, which kind of makes sense, because I bet you there was a lot of players who were thinking, okay, I'm going to play my Sunday Father's Day morning tournament round and then get back home to the family and spend Father's Day. So once they realized that it wasn't going to turn out that way and they were going to have to finish their round on the Sunday, I think that's what contributed to the DNFs. But, we had Todd Kennedy out there, and we had Alex Penny. They were the two tournament directors. And them with the tournament team, they got the steadiest, cool cucumbers you could find, and they found a way to keep that tournament going. So good on them. Way to make that happen and get that Alberta Open tournament through there. So now that's kind of our tournament review. And remember, if you do have an event that you've organized, you've participated in, or you want to hear us mention it on the podcast, let us know. Send us a message, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or you can email us at chainoutpodcast@gmail.com. Whew, it's a little bit tougher here when I'm doing all the talking. Usually I get to take a minute, take a break. Daryl will say a word or two. But I'll just keep on pressing on. So as we get going, we've got the Pro News update. And what we had on the Pro Tour last week was the European Open taking place out in Tallinn, Estonia. And if you didn't watch it, you might remember this one, because this is the tournament where the players get to stand up in the stadium stage in the bleachers there, and they are on that stage. They've got the digital scoreboard behind them that's showing pictures of them, showing their names, and they're throwing from that high spot way out into the open field. This one was a major. They played 4 rounds, and there was a cut after round 3. On the MPO side, Gannon Burr did it yet again. He took down the win with a minus 36 overall, and this was 4 strokes better than second place Raptor Legs Ricky Wysocki. And then on the FPO side, something pretty amazing happened, and that was Evelina Salonen won with a minus 21. And what was cool about that is that win finished off her Grand Slam for the PDGA Majors, which means she is one of the few players who has won every one of the majors for their division. And a second storyline that was happening in the FPO was second place was taken by a player by the name of Julia Fors, and she's from Kungsbacka, Sweden. And okay, you say to yourself, a European FPO fighting for second place at a European major, not a big deal. But did I forget to tell you she's only 14 years old? So not only that, she's also the 2025 Swedish national champion on the FPO side. So I think it's a player to keep an eye on. Maybe if she wants to come to Canada, we can do a little juniors episode and tell you a little bit more about Julia Fors. But keep an eye on her. She's going to be doing big things. And another person doing big things was our sole Canadian out there in Europe, and that was Rebecca Dawn. She made her first trip over there and was our only Canadian at the event. She finished round 1, tied 11th, and that was about as high as she got for the weekend. That was her highest finish spot after a round. But she did play well enough to make the cut, but then she finished 24th, which was one stroke away from cashing. And I still think that's a bit of a problem. I don't know how you make the cut to the final day, yet you still don't get a chance to cash. I would think everybody who makes the cut should cash, but you tell me what you think. She will be playing here this weekend at the Swedish Open in Borås, Sweden, and she'll be the only Canadian out there representing. Head over to her socials, jump on her Facebook, jump on her Instagram, send her some comments, some well wishes. I know she reads them. I know she appreciates the support. You can follow her rounds on PDGA Live and do what I do, favorite the Canadian players, and they'll show up right at the very top of your list, so you'll know how they're doing and where they are the whole time. Whew. I'm looking over here. I see this Daryl guy pushing buttons, getting going.
Apparently people can hear me coughing anyway.
Oh, man. He's coughing. Even though he tried not to be coughing, you can still hear him. Well, he is there. At least you know it. He's never really missed an episode at all. So you know he's still part of the podcast, even if it is not with his beautiful, shiny face on here. We've got our guest in the green room looking good. Looks like he's ready. He's going to be there. But I got a couple sponsors to shout out. The Chain Out podcast is sponsored by two great sponsors, two disc golf stores, Disc Republic and BR Disc Golf. And on the BR Disc Golf side, we want to say a happy belated birthday to the owner, Brendan McKinstry. I was chatting with him a little bit, and he had said to me that he is thinking that we will have our brand new Chain Out jerseys, Daryl and I, within about a week. So watch maybe for as soon as next week for us to be sporting those new threads. And if you didn't get one, you're probably going to want one at that point. If you're on his website, I did see he's got those ripped revenge cards available, and Daryl's probably rolling his eyes off camera right now because Daryl's had a deck of these cards forever and has wanted to record something, and I think I'm finally ready to participate. But if you don't know what they are, it's a way for you to play a disc golf round in a little bit different, fun method where you get some cards. Some of them could be benefits to you. They could be punishments to other players, but we're going to record a round like that and or maybe even do it live. We'll see. And we'll let you see it. And if you want cards of your own, BR Disc Golf has it. And then on the Disc Republic side, as little as 2 days ago, Jason and the team over there just put their remaining 2025 Gyropalooza boxes on sale. So those are those MVP boxes that come out every year. They got 11 discs in them. You know what a few are. You know there's some R2s, some lab seconds. Normally they're like $168 for the 11 discs, but he's got it to the point where if you buy 2 boxes, so if you and a friend go in and each buy a box, it gets down to $138, which is like $12.50 a disc. So I don't have that friend who wants it because Daryl only throws Innova. But if you throw MVP and you want to buy a box, maybe I'll buy the other one. We'll see. And then I'll probably get rid of my R2s because I never throw those for some reason. Now, if you do go to BR Disc Golf or to Disc Republic, use the code CHAINOUT at checkout, and that supports us. That's our promo code. We appreciate it. And thank you for your support. So I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to get ourselves over to the guest. We do have a giveaway coming up. That's the Smith Lake Farms signed disc that Daryl picked up while he was over there at the farm. I think it's going to come up on the screen for you really quick. It's got signatures from Thomas Gilbert, Ian Anderson, Nate Sexton, Chance Stad, and Sophia Donica. Amazing looking disc. So watch, it's going to be a post where you're going to have to put a question is what it sounds like, and put the best question you can in the post. It's going to turn out to Daryl throwing some throws and finding a way to give it away. So keep an eye out for that. And after we're all done on this episode of Chain Out Podcast, head over to our Patreon, get the free link to join us for tonight's fantasy picks. Josh Kern, who we mentioned earlier, MA50, he's going to join us and help us pick for the BC Open. It's going to be fun. There's some big name players at the BC Open this year, and I can't wait to talk about them and see who gets to pick them. And you get to make your own choices if you want to, which gets you in for even more prize chances. And that's if you go over to our website, chainoutpodcast.com, pick your own team. Even if you're not the overall winner, your name's still in the draw every time you put a team in for a tournament. So with all of that, I think I've done it. Top of show, done. Yeah, I hear the applause. I see people just cheering. It's fantastic. So let's get over to, even in the green room, I see someone raising the roof. So let's get over to that. So here's my question to you, chat, everybody out there. Did you ever get a chance to play 2 rounds of disc golf in one day? Probably you go to a tournament, you go to a B tier, C tier, that's pretty normal. And when I do that, it makes me feel pretty good. Down in Lethbridge this year, I had a day where I played 3 rounds. I played a doubles round at the end of the day after 2 rounds, and I was done. What's the most amount of rounds you've played? And whatever that number is that you think it is, it's probably not the same as our guest tonight, because he has the world record for the most disc golf courses played in one day. Join us in welcoming Craig Ireland to the podcast.
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
Glad
there
to be
he
here.
is. Hey, Craig, good to have you. Welcome to the podcast. So first question for you. Did you know much about the Chain Out Podcast before I called you, or is this your first experience hearing about us?
I have heard about you guys. A couple guests in the past, I tuned in to listen to their interviews. Probably Thomas Gilbert, maybe Colleen McGuinness. I find when she's talking about stuff very interesting to listen to.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you knew what you were getting into, and you had a little bit of that makes it a little easier for you, because we'll have a little bit of fun tonight. So I was taking a look at your PDGA page, and it says you're from Etobicoke, Ontario. Is that where you're joining us from tonight?
That is where I am right now. I'm originally from Tillsonburg, Ontario, which is a little down London, Ontario way.
Yeah, well, that
If
lines
you know
up with me.
The Stompin' Tom Connor song is our claim to fame.
That makes sense.
About priming tobacco.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you that, we've talked about it on the podcast before. That's actually where I was born and raised, was London, Ontario. I moved out here in 93 and hadn't known a single thing about disc golf by that point. But I still get back there and love the fact that there's lots of courses in the area when I get there.
Indeed, even Tillsonburg's. Growing up, I used to play baseball, and where the disc golf course was is where we had our baseball picnic every year. And there's these tanks, and we would throw crab apples at each other, at teammates, just horsing around. And that's where the disc golf course is now. So it's just full circle,
Yeah, you're playing there as a kid, and now you're playing there as an adult for a whole different reason.
Got to keep playing.
Yeah.
Playing sports is life.
That's awesome. All right, so a question for you with the Etobicoke side, if you've been there for a little bit, as opposed to Tillsonburg. When I'm looking, and I kind of know Toronto, I know the area, do the Etobicokeans, if we want to use that as the word, do you consider yourselves part of Toronto at this point, or are you still holding true to being your own city and trying to be separate?
I think we do, but the rest of Toronto doesn't. I think that's how it works. I've been here about 5 years, and that's about what it sounds like.
That's what the feel of it is. Nice.
Yep.
Well, we know Centennial Park is in the area. That's one of the courses out there. Would you call that one your home course, or where do you normally play?
That is the closest course to me. That's where I used to play most of my rounds. When they kind of destroyed the course to make the practice areas for the World Cup, and they redid the baseball diamonds and everything. So right now there is not a course there.
Oh.
So like a smaller course like Maryland Bell, where I did the Throw for More, that's also pretty close to me in the other direction.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Like Daryl and I, we had a chance to go out to Centennial on our way back to the airport last fall after we were at Nationals out in Peterborough area. And when we were there, it was kind of in that altered layout with the construction. Like it felt like a couple times we were in spots we maybe shouldn't have been. But to hear that the course has all been pulled out, that's unfortunate. Do you think they're going to put it back in from what you heard after the FIFA stuff is over? Or
I think there still are like maybe 7 holes or something like that. I haven't been there in a while.
gotcha.
Um, I know Adam Hazel has plans to get the course going again whenever the city gives us the green light that the park redesign is finished,
Hmm.
and hopefully Centennial gets the disc golf back going.
Yeah, it would be good to see for sure. I don't know if my wonderful podcast partner handling the comments threw it in there, but we got somebody in there shouting out your. Did you already throw that out? Yeah, it came out there. Robbie Holden's in there saying Craig is
Yeah.
such a beaut, supporting you. So
Well, back at you, Robbie. Robbie's a beaut too. I finally got to play with Robbie at P15 because it was a ratings-based event. So all of us age-protected players got in with like the MA1s, and it was great to finally play with them.
yeah, we've seen a few of those color rated events happen around here, and that's what I thought would be neat, because sometimes you go out and you play. When I first started, play MA3, MA4, and you get the strangest collection of players of all skill levels and all maturity levels and everything. And I really found playing MA40, I was like, I'm with my people. They get my Austin Powers references, they get my other jokes and timely things that way. But when you get a chance to play in the color rated divisions, now you're playing with MA1s, MA3s, whoever it is, but they're going to be at the same rating as you, and you should get that same better level of competition maybe.
Yes, and way more mature.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, Craig, on the Chain Out podcast, one of the things we do whenever we're interviewing someone new is we like to find out how our guests got into disc golf, but we do it a little different here. We don't just come out and say, how'd you get into disc golf? We create a Chain Out origin story. It's usually based on a movie, might have a thread of truth in it. You'll have to let us know afterwards. So our listeners, they'll just kind of hang out there in the chat and see if they can guess the movie. You can relax. And when we're all done, we'll find out if I was close and what the real story was. So if you're ready, here we go. So Craig, maybe growing up, you were an active kid. Most people would stroll from one place to the other, but not you. You had places to be. And if you were going to get there, you were going to run. The locals were so used to seeing you run around Tilsonburg, they'd just say, there goes that running fool again. One day you were running with your dogs through a park when a disc flew by you. You ran to pick it up and throw it back, the one thing you're not supposed to do when a disc's on the ground, but the player waved you off and explained, hey, playing disc golf here. Curious, you asked, could I give it a try? The player was so impressed by your enthusiasm, they handed you a disc. You threw it and ran, then threw it and ran, and threw it and ran again. Other people started to notice you and wanted to know more. You taught them, and before you knew it, a few friends became a dozen locals, and eventually nobody knew who was following who or remembered, but they were running and playing with you every day. It wasn't long before the local course wasn't enough. Then neither were 2 courses, nor 10. One day you just kept going, course after course after course, until somehow you'd played more disc golf courses in a single day than anyone else had in the world. When people asked you why, you simply just shrugged and said, I just felt like playing. Now, maybe that's not how you got into disc golf, so why don't you tell us how it really happened?
That was cool that you used Forrest Gump, though. I love that movie. I technically learned the game of disc golf when I was in Taiwan teaching. Our ultimate frisbee team would go to the park called Da'an Park in South Taipei, and we would go out at night with our Ultra Stars and beverage in the other hand and play like object disc golf in the park. So we would make up a hole, like you have to go under this bench around this light and land it on the hedge or something like that, and we'd make it a par 4 or something like that. Back here in Canada, when I was living in Brantford, a good friend of mine, Tim McCurry, Uh, Shout out 1008 PDGA number.
Wow.
Uh, he was talking to me in the cafeteria at some point. Sports and ultimate frisbee came up, and he was like, "Why don't you come out to Paris, or to Mohawk? Can't remember which one. Both at some point." And he said, "Come try out disc golf." And a week later, I had 500 discs, on my way from disc sellers,
Yeah.
and I was, throwing 14 speeds all wrong, but I was hooked. Loved the sport right away, and of course, I'm still playing it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's interesting, having Robbie Holden in the chat there and listening to you talk about that original. It almost sounds like you were doing one of the first Mist Mando mayhems before they even were a thing, when you were throwing them under benches and over different obstacles and that out there in Taiwan.
I would love to get into one of those Miss Mando events. They sound like a lot of fun. Um, Jokingly, a lot of my rounds when I'm not throwing well, I end up like making my own Mando holes, during a round, throwing it between branches and finding spots on the course you never want to be and have to scramble out of. We always joke like the more trouble you get into, then it becomes a skill that you're able to scramble and save par a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I've been out on the course and Daryl has as well, and people have commented on our scrambling, and that always feels like it's slightly an insult as well, because the only reason unless you do it the way you're doing it, is if you get good at scrambling, it's because you're always off the fairway. So that's kind of sometimes that way. But if you're out there intentionally, then you're that much more set when you do get in there.
There you go. Running rounds are exactly the opposite. You have to stay down the middle. It's added time if you go left, right, military style down the fairway.
Yeah.
Time adds up quick.
Oh, for sure. Well, you had mentioned there, you kind of jokingly said you had 500 discs before you knew it. But when did you get hooked on disc golf right from that first time you played out there in the Paris Mohawk area? Or was there a moment for you when the switch flipped and you said, hey, this is going to be a hobby. This is going to be a passion. This is going to be part of who I am?
No, it was right away. At the time, I wasn't playing any team sports, and when Tim introduced me, it was just love at first sight with playing disc golf. Loved everything about it. Signed up for a tournament right away. First tournament was Christie Lake Ice Bowl in the middle of winter.
Gotcha.
Frigid cold, but had a blast. Won a disc golf basket in the raffle. Got to eat, I think there were like 10 different styles and flavors of chili for
Okay.
lunchtime in between rounds. And it was just like, hey, like, why am I not doing this every weekend?
Yeah. No, I would agree. And that is one of the courses I've had a chance to play is Christie Lake, not in the tournament, but I've been out there when I've flown into Hamilton. And that's, talk about an introduction to disc golf when you start to play tournaments at courses like that. But, Ontario's full of great courses and that's just one of them, but definitely a good one.
Yes, there's a few holes where if you're new, you stand on the tee and you have like this is a par 3 moment. Like how am I supposed to get it there and have, a putt for a 2? Like that's impossible.
Yeah.
And then you learn that it is possible, or you are on cards with people that are way better than you and you see what they do and you see what's possible with a disc.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking about discs, one of the questions we'll ask people when we have them on the show is, it's not what was your first disc, but what was your first, I kind of coin it as like a Gollum disc. So that's the one that you wrote your name on, the one you didn't lend out to anyone, the one you'd go to the depths of Mordor to save if it got lost, and the one that you'd consider your precious. Do you remember what that first disc was that would have fell in that category?
Probably early on, it was a Mako 3.
Yes.
Very, very straight disc, very beginner friendly, glidey. Just loved it. Like came up to a hole and looked for opportunities to throw it. Um, it was also dyed. It had a Pac-Man die on it,
Nice.
which is another thing of mine. If people know me, my whole bag is dyed.
Okay.
Um, so that's another thing with disc golf. I love like the artwork and the dyeing community. But yeah, Mako 3 for your question,
Gotcha. And now
100%.
Now that Daryl was pumping his fist because he's a big in of a guy, and I throw a Mako 3 as well. I usually have one kind of rotating in and out of my bag. That one with the Pac-Man die on it, do you still have it? Is it still hanging around? Is it on a wall now, or?
I don't think I have it anymore. I don't know if I sold it. I definitely didn't lose it. I'm definitely the kind of person that will stay at a course for like 5 hours and look for a disc rather than cut my losses and just go buy a new one. Also, if someone on Facebook says they lost a disc on this hole in this area and I'm playing there later in the week, I'll do the same thing for someone else and go in and find it. Or on Toronto Island, I'll go diving for discs on hole 4 and hole 9 in the lake to find
Okay.
discs.
Well, I'll tell you, last fall when we were there, Brendan, who I mentioned in our sponsors, owner of BR Disc Golf, he had thrown one into the water there. In that, maybe it's hole 9. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but it's the one where you're kind of in between the pier where all the boats are, and it's on the right hand side that you can go in the water if you're not hyzering close along the tree line. Is that hole 9?
I think that's hole 4.
Okay, hole 4.
That's closer to boats. Hole 9 is more of a longer, wider hyzer over the lake.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So it would have been hole 4. So he lost it and he thought he was going to go in there and grab it. And he waded in and then realized quite quickly that if you don't have the right gear, you're not finding that disc very easy. So it was left there. You've probably pulled it out already.
Oh, possibly.
Nice. Well, you mentioned Tim there was a kind of influence on you early on when you started disc golfing. Were there any other disc golfers who influenced you, like where you were watching how they were playing, try to emulate them, or maybe help you to develop your game? It could have been local players. It could have been just people you were watching on TV.
At that time, I was a member of Grand River Disc Golf Association in like Kitchener, Waterloo area. So there were really good players like Zach Joliffe. I remember him. He was on like Team Innova
Okay.
back when I was turning from amateur to pro 40. So I looked up to him because he had a really buttery throw, like effortless, especially on the forehand. Kind of like how Brady Belanger throws his forehand now. Just flicks his hand and it goes 300 feet. Like it's
Yeah,
not fair.
exactly.
Um, as far as pros, it would just be, Macbeth and Wysocki battling at that time. Learning about how disc golf was on the internet on Joe Mez and Ace Run Pro and other providers online to be able to watch
Yeah.
pros.
Yeah, no, that's good. And when you talked about that buttery forehand, it made me think about, Tanya Ramsey is in there in the chat from Newcastle Disc Golf. And it's every time I'm watching socials and I see little Nico throwing his forehand. I don't know if you've seen him throwing, it's always
Oh yeah.
seems so effortless too. And then I don't know if you saw the post, but just recently here at Newcastle, he went birdie, eagle, and then almost aced. And one of those shots, the eagle, was on Plinko at Newcastle. So
Oh yes.
and then he aced the one after that. It's so when you do see someone like that, I never understand. I'm like, he's a lot smaller than me. I know he's really flexible, but if he can throw like that, there's got to be a way I could throw like that, or maybe it's just my hinges are not greased enough to make those throws.
Yeah. Times passes by.
Yeah.
I know I would have loved starting at his age, but that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I hear you. And while we're talking about different things about disc golf with you, I had mentioned that MA1 player in Alberta who hit that 309-foot tournament ace in these crazy, horrendous weather conditions. Do you have any aces under your belt? And what's your favorite one that you've kind of put down?
Earlier this year, I had one at King's Forest in the first tournament of the year. Um, it had just started raining and windy and becoming very windy at the end of our first round of the day, and it was a vulture forehand,
Okay.
um, maybe about 270 or so, and just threw it where I needed to, and it crashed in very loudly, and I went nuts because I don't usually, even on that shot I wasn't going for an ace.
Hmm.
Um, I play kind of boring, like down the middle, and like to like to keep it like 10 or 20 feet short of the hole and away from any trouble, right or left or long. That's just how I play. So when I get an ace, it's something special for me, and yeah, I went
Nice.
nuts, and then immediately, played like donkey do the second round, and couldn't do anything right after that.
Yeah, it's
But
the way it
that's
goes.
how it goes.
You get all that adrenaline going, but it does sound like a full circle moment. Brady Belanger would probably be proud. A buttery vulture forehand to take an ace this many years later.
I don't know how buttery it was, but
But it
but
was still
I threw it correctly. Yeah,
nice. That's awesome.
and I think it was my first forehand ace because all my other aces that I can remember were on backhands,
That's
like a
awesome.
couple at Centennial, um, with meteors, and one at Foxwood with Tursus.
Okay.
Um, that was in league, so that was a good ace to get. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, the
I
the
don't
big
get many.
question, the King's Forest one, did you pay into the ace pot?
Always.
Perfect. Good. That's what I
That
love to
is
hear.
that is a rookie mistake. If you don't, you'll never live it down.
No, I agree
Yeah,
with you.
just
I'm like, for $5,
put
you never know.
put in the $5. Yep. Of course, then you get home and you tell your partner how much you won, and the first question is, how many tournaments have you played that you bought in, and basically you're just getting your money back. It's like, come on, don't ruin the fun.
Yeah, exactly. I won it today. We're not worried about that. This isn't sunk cost fallacy. All that other money is spent. Don't worry about it, right?
It's like poker players online when they put up their career winnings. It's like, oh, this guy's won $3 million. It's like, well, how much has he lost? Like they don't tell you that part.
Exactly. No one cares about that. That's just part of
So
being a poker player.
this is on a disc golf scale, couple $100.
100%. So, Craig, when I was looking at your history in the PDGA side of things, you travel and play a lot of tournaments in Ontario, and with all the great events and courses that are out there, I couldn't blame you. Like, we got a chance to experience P15, Newcastle, Haute Goat, Cedar Creek all last year, including Toronto Island as a kind of a bonus round there. But you've also had a chance to play down in the U.S. I saw that you played the 2022 Ledgestone tournament. What are a couple of your favorite tournaments that you've played as you've been traveling around the U.S. and Canada?
Ledgestone is definitely up there. I uh, English is avoiding me right now. I recommend that tournament to anyone to go down. Tim and I went down to that one. Um, just awesome. Play your tournaments, play the flex tournaments before the big tournament to, play even more.
Yeah.
Go see some pros play, get some discs signed, go to the like swap meet, like disc events in the evening. Go watch like the long drive, like go to everything. It's wonderful. Worlds being down the road in Detroit this year. I hope there's lots of people that plan on going and watching it.
Yeah.
I'm going to Spot on Sunday, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be to be up close like that. I've mentioned it a number of times this year. I got to go out to Jonesboro. That was my first time going to an actual DGPT event. And there is something different about it actually being there and seeing it up close and personal. So spotting and having some of those discs fly over your head or fly close would be quite the thing. Oh, and are you still there? looks like you might have froze up a bit on me, so I'll wait for you to come back there, Craig, and see. And if not, you might have to just drop off and call back in is what we might need you to do. Oh, and there he goes. So we'll get Craig back there, and we want to get going on next to talk about his world records, because that was one of the big parts of it too. So here he is calling back in. We'll get him back on the show here. Hey, and there you are. You are back at her. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I have no idea what just happened.
It's, you know what, it happens sometimes. It just a call will drop just like anything else, but we got you back. I was just talking about how cool it is to be at those big events and see it up close, and the difference it is between seeing it on TV and being there in person. Like, you know, we all feel the feels when you watch the James Conrad Holy Shot, but I know a player locally here who is from the US and happened to be there, and I can't even imagine what that experience is compared to watching it. So if you can get to Worlds, right?
Yes. Oh, that shot was electric, and it is awesome when you go to places and stand on the holes that you've seen on the coverage and play them yourself, and score your snowman or 10 if you're lucky. Like if you go and play Northwood Black or something like that, it's insanely difficult.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, exactly. Well, I wanted to kind of move things along. And when I was researching, it's pretty easy when you look in your Instagram that you can quickly see that you are a distance runner. And not only a distance runner, you're an ultra runner is what I'm thinking, is what I'm seeing. How long have you been doing that for?
Not too long. A few years, 3 or 4 years.
Really?
Yes. I got into Spartan racing a few years before the pandemic. Started out just doing the 5K, mud run style events with some different obstacles thrown into running the 5K. So you have like climbing ropes and jumping over walls and carrying sandbags, scurrying under barbed wire and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, this is fun. I love punishing my body and not sitting on the couch. So 5Ks became 10Ks, became 21Ks. And when you're doing the 21Ks, you see the people that are doing the 50Ks, and you're like, that is nuts. I'll never be able to do that until you sign up for it and do it. And just like disc golf, I did my first one of that and was hooked and kept doing them to this day.
Wow.
You learn a lot about yourself when you're out on that course for 10, 11, 12 hours at a time. You wonder, like, what are you doing, stupid? Like, why are you out here? You could be, at home watching a Jays game with, some tacos or something. And no, I'm out here like cramping and dying pretty much. Each one gets easier. And, now that I've done the latest Throw for More event, 50K seems like a 20K now.
Wow. That's impressive. And I do want to talk about that part, but I want to go back. You said the Spartan races and those there. The one thing you didn't mention, which I know happens in some of those races, maybe not Spartan, but did you have to go through the electrical wires in any of those races? Did you go that extreme?
No, that one is for Tough Mudders, which is like a different brand of like obstacle course racing. Yeah, doing that is kind of niche and not like, I think it's kind of dumb.
Yeah. Well, getting shocked on purpose is, I kind of,
it's like, what are you really proving by doing that,
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and as you said,
I'm more of just like, give me a mountain to climb up and down, 50 times in a day. And when you're going up, you're like, I'm sick of going up. When do we get to go down? And then as soon as you go down, it's like, a different part of your leg hurts and you're cursing gravity and like, I'd rather be going up right now. That's like the fight that's going on. Your brain and your body are are competing to keep you going and wanting you to stop at the same time
Yeah.
for hours on end.
Well, see that's crazy, and it really impresses me that way. Like I had my own taste of distance running long before disc golf, before the pandemic and that. And I got up, the very longest I did a road race. It was the Calgary 50th anniversary marathon. They did a 50K, and you got a big belt buckle for it. Did it in 4.5 hours. I was marathon running. So I actually felt like, hey, I was getting somewhere. But now listening to you and saying that you're doing these 50-kilometer extreme like ultras and doing the whole mountain and that, it says 50 kilometers on there, but that is a whole different 50 kilometers than running it on the road. I'll tell you that much.
For me, I've done some half marathons, and it's just too boring for me to run on the flat for too long.
Yeah.
I much rather like the trails in the woods and the elevation changes and the different terrain types. They put us through streams and have us swim across bodies of water and
Nice.
everything. Yeah.
Well, if you get
So
up to it, one of the big ones
not
out
just
here.
running on sidewalks.
Yeah, I was going to say you've likely heard of it, but out in Grand Cache, Alberta, which is just on the way to Grand Prairie where Nationals are this year, there is the Great Canadian Death Race that happens, and they break that one down into different legs, but it's up and down mountains and such. And I don't know if they intentionally put you through a river or anything, but you're definitely running through streams and stuff there. Nothing that I even came close to doing, but I had some friends who were up to that, and yeah, that it sounds like something up your alley.
For sure. Manitoba way, there's a guy called Mick Fit on Instagram that I follow. He's a big runner that way.
Yeah. Between him, I think, I don't know. I used to follow Ray Zahab as well, because he does all those extreme. He's the Canadian who's Canada Goose and everything else, and he'll do the Arctic runs and the Sahara runs. But I don't want to dive too deep into that side of it. But as we keep going, Greg, because you and I could just turn this into a running podcast before you know it, and pull me back on track. Well, what is it with the runs? What is the furthest distance that you've done for any one of those runs or tournaments, or not tournaments? Sorry, one of those races.
The Spartan races, they try to put it at 50.
Mm-hmm.
I think the longest one was 58. I don't know if it was just the course was a little longer than usual, or if you fail doing an obstacle, like if you throw the spear and you miss the target, you have to do a penalty loop.
Oh.
So adding those on top of the 50K, you end up doing a little bit more.
Wow.
So I think in an obstacle race environment, I think 58 was the longest one that I did.
Yeah, that's huge. Looking too, I saw that you've got some posts as well, that you've got a couple of dogs and they run with you. Now, what I didn't know in my running time in that, are there actual races where bringing your dogs is part of it, or is it just something that you like to do, is run with your dogs?
Yes, I found out that dog racing is a thing. There's a local club, Canny Six, on Instagram that I found, and they do something called Canny Cross with dogs. So that's the canine and the cross country combined into a made up word. And dogs wear a special harness that doesn't, choke them or pull on their limbs or neck or anything. And you hook a bungee line up to their harness just above their tail area.
Okay.
And then you wear a special belt as well that kind of goes behind your bum and your hamstrings. So basically the dog just takes off and runs as fast as it can, and you're along for the ride.
Wow.
And since we have two golden doodles, there's dual Canny Cross races. So my bungee line splits to the two dogs, and they take off together, which is, its own barrel full of laughs when you have two dogs instead of one, because they don't share a brain. And, one wants to go this way and one wants to go that way around a tree. Or this one wants to start eating grass and this one wants to chase the squirrel that was just beside the trail. So it's fun, and it's a way to bring them into, my world of running, and it's great.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it could work in your favor in some respects because you have the two of them pushing you or pulling you almost when they're running in the right direction. But then in other times, it's probably a test of patience as you're trying not to get frustrated as they're exploring rather than moving forward.
It is a whole different level of training when you're not just walking them down the sidewalk. When you're running in a race, and you need to be, one unit together.
Yeah, definitely. Well, did all of that distance running inspire your disc golf world record attempt, or how did you come about of saying, hey, I want to set a world record for disc golf?
I don't know who it was, but they brought up that this record existed. And when I looked it up and saw that it was, I think it was either 22 or 23 courses at the time by a pair of guys in the States that they did in a day. And I just said, well, I can do that. So then it became a task of looking up the rules and what you need to do to make the record legit if you go for it. And that was way more work than actually going out and running it and doing it.
Okay. So did it, tell me about you did that work to take a look and figure out all the little I's you had to dot, T's you had to cross. Now, when you plan that attempt, did you do like a trial run beforehand, or was it one of these things where all you did was you just all the organizing and planning and said, I'm just going to one and done and I'm either going to do it or not? Or did you say, oh, I've tried it a few times, I know I can do it, let's get the record holders here and make it legit?
I went out and did 2 half days. So I did 12 courses twice at the time, to get to know, well, I knew the courses. I didn't play certain ones at night, so I needed to try them at night. And getting the driving route most economical time-wise. Figuring out which course is open at a certain time, which course doesn't have league the day I'm doing it, so I'm not, disturbing the local scene. And just avoiding traffic. So like I knew I had to do the Toronto ones early on in the day, and then get out of the city. Certain ones I wouldn't have access to at night. They'd either have locked gates, or they would say like the park is closed between midnight and 6 a.m. So I wouldn't want to be in there.
Right.
Except going to Whitaker, I did go in there.
Well, let's make that clear to everybody who's listening. Is so this world record that you set was the most amount of disc golf courses played in one day, but it was individual ones. You didn't get to just play the same course over and over. You had to play unique courses. Is that how it went?
Right. It had to be all unique courses. Foxwood was allowed 2 courses because it's a unique red course and white course.
Okay.
It can't have any holes that are shared, or it wouldn't count. It had to be 18 holes. It could be 9 holes, and then you could play them twice. It couldn't be less than 9 holes. So if a course was, say, 6 holes, you couldn't play it 3 times for 18. That was not allowed in these rules.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Now,
and they had to be listed on the PDGA site as well.
Yeah, talk about, like you said, is all the different little rules that you would have had to figure out. So did you have it down to like a minute by minute plan, like from 8 o'clock? Well, I guess you would start right at the beginning of the day, right? From midnight when it would you started that early, and from this time to this time I'll be here, then I got travel time, I'll fuel up here, I'll take a drink this spot, and continue to work through?
Absolutely. I planned everything down to the minute. Driving and playing, eating, like down to the minute, planned everything. So during the day, when I would actually do the the attempt, I would know if I was ahead of time, behind time. Do I need to do the next couple courses a little bit faster, or do I have a little bit of a gap where I can catch my breath and not go so fast for a little while.
Right.
The main thing was I hope my car doesn't break down,
Yes.
because at the time it was like a junk box, kind of just hanging on to being useful. And hopefully I don't come across an accident where the road is blocked off and I have to turn back and make a detour and go way around. That would have uh, lowered the amount of courses I would have been able to get done.
Right. Yeah. Well, and we have a comment there in the chat from a longtime listener, first time questioner, and it's how much time did you allow for each course to play?
Some of the city courses that are very short, like beaches here in Toronto or Maryland Bell, that are around a kilometer in length, I would try to get those done fairly quickly. Well, I'm talking like 10 minutes
Oh,
for
wow.
18 holes.
Wow.
I would play them very quickly. And then other ones that were quite long, like all the golf course ones, King's Forest, Foxwood, and then the night rounds, it's more pace yourself, take your time, make sure you don't, do something stupid like step on a pine cone and turn your ankle, something like that. Or like at Eastview Park in Guelph, there's a couple holes that are up and down steep hills. So the one hill I fell on my ass and slid all the way down it.
Oh no.
So that was I can't remember if they got either a picture or video of it, but the volunteers that were there were just laughing hysterically, and then shouted like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." I got up and started running again, and my pants and my jacket were all muddy up the back. But things like this, you got to be able to laugh at yourself, and as long as you don't get hurt, then you keep going.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And Daryl's on the same wavelength that I am. Is like, what was the strategy to it? Obviously you wanted to get through as quick as you could. Like, was there a rule related to the score? Or so if you threw it, say, into the woods and you're like, oh man, that's deep and that's lost, did you just say, okay, no, I'm just taking that as a re-tee and I'll take an extra stroke? Like, was the score a component of the record?
You did have to keep score, and every throw had to be on film. So I used a GoPro chest mount.
Okay.
So you could see the disc, up ahead of my chest being thrown for every throw all day. So you can guess how long it took for them to go through the footage to verify that all the holes were played, all the courses were played. And when you have a GoPro on your chest and you're running, the camera just does this the whole time.
Right.
So the people that were verifying this on Guinness's part probably took a lot of Gravol or something, so they weren't puking, watching, getting dizzy watching all the footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been. So I guess another thing managing when you talk about with the GoPro is, did you just you had like a charger in the car, and were you constantly recharging batteries so that you could record everything, and discs to make sure you had space for it? Like, that must have been another logistical challenge.
You are a thinking man. I had all this planned. How much space each course would take up on the discs or whatever they're called that you have to put in. They would hold a certain amount of time. The video didn't have to be a movie quality,
Right.
so I could put it on a fairly low setting so that it wouldn't eat too much data. But yes, I had 11 battery packs to put in and out of the camera during the day. So I had broken it down, after after 3 courses, I need to change the battery. And then after the 6th course, I need to change the battery and the disc. So these were things that were all worked out before the day, because you can't, find out on the go that it's not working, or you can't be on a course on hole 5 in the middle of the round in the dark, kneeling on the ground, fiddling with your camera equipment.
Oh, no, you
It's
can't
just
have
time wasted.
No, and then all of a sudden, so that really brings it to me when you kind of tie this back to, say, marathon running as well, is when you run in a marathon, there's there's a chance that you're going to go and you're going to hit the wall. And when you hit the wall, your body's going to break down. You're going to mentally have to push through. Did you have any equivalents of that during the record attempt where you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this. I don't know if I'm on time. Like, were there any low points in that respect?
For the Guinness attempt, not really, because I had done the 2 12-round days.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people don't know this, but I had the first attempt of the Guinness was 24 rounds in 24 hours.
Okay.
The night before, 2 nights before the attempt, everything was working. The night before I was to start, I checked the GoPro and it had bricked.
Oh no.
Nothing would work. It wouldn't turn on. I had to tell all the people who volunteered to go out to each course that it was not going to count because I would not have the video footage to submit.
Oh man.
So that first day I was ready to go out and do it.
No go.
It was going to be an unofficial record. I told everyone not to show up, but I went and did it myself to prove to myself that I could do it. Not so much to prove to other people who said I was crazy and it's impossible to go and do 24 courses in a day. Like, it's not logistically possible. It is possible. And so when the year after, yes, it was a whole year after, I said, let's try it again. I had a different camera. I said, let's go for 30 instead of 24. I packed in a few more courses. I had a year of running under my belt. And I was pretty confident I would be able to pack in 30 courses instead of 24.
Wow.
to really bash the record and accomplish 30.
That's amazing, Craig. That is crazy. So I did see one of your posts that it's now official. They did have a chance to pour over everything, and it's now the official Guinness World Record.
Mm-hmm. Yes, pretty cool. It took a long time. It was, I think, 11 months after I did the run that I finally had all the evidence, they call it,
Mm-hmm.
I needed to provide Guinness to go through it. And then after that, they took another, I think it was 9 or 10 months to go through it. They say that it's, the wait time is currently 6 months, but I figured because mine was a 24-hour and they had, extra footage to look, that this one was going to take longer.
Yeah.
And it took way longer. But I was super happy. It was, I think, like 9 or 10 at night that I got an email from Guinness, and I looked and it said, like, congrats, like, your record has been approved. And I jumped up in the house, so high I almost, hit the roof.
Fantastic. Now, here's the next question for you. Do you think that's a record that is something that they consider putting in the next book? Because I know that there's so many world records and the book is only so big. I don't think they can fit them all in. Do you foresee it getting into a book? Did they take pictures for that or anything that way?
Right. It's very random which ones they choose to include. You just have to hope that they just throw in your random record on a page in a book one year. It's not like this is a 100-meter dash record that
Right.
is in the book every single year. This one's pretty niche, and it would be pretty cool to have it in book form one
Yeah.
of these years before someone else breaks it.
Yeah,
Because of course it will be broken.
yeah, that is always the case, right? Records are made to be broken. It's just how long can you hold on to it? But I want to get to it there in a minute. I'll pin that thought for myself about once you have a world record. But just looking over at Daryl there. But the other thing too with that is, so do you have a list? Like when I was looking on your Instagram and that, is there a list of the 30 courses that you did get a chance to play anywhere?
Yes. I think it's one of the posts like a couple months before uh, the attempt was done. I think it's a picture of me throwing from a tee pad,
Mm-hmm.
and I have like the text of all the courses on one of the images
Okay.
in
And it,
in the order that they were done in.
Okay,
So
because that's
yes, there is
awesome to
that.
see. Because just to
Yeah.
kind of look at that, and what did it look like? What was the total, if you remember, what was the total kilometers that it took to navigate that whole path of those 30 courses? I'm gonna stop there with the questions because I could go on forever because this interests me so much.
I can't remember for sure, but I think it was mid 70s
Okay,
for the day,
yeah,
which makes sense because like half the day was playing and half the day was driving,
right,
um, which was its own challenge because yes, half the day I wasn't running, but when you run and then stop and then run and then stop and then run and then stop and getting in and out of the car, by the end of the day, the legs didn't like
mm,
stopping and having to sit down in the car and drive and then get back out of the
yeah,
car to run again. So that's different than just running all day.
okay, gotcha. Well, and if here we go, there's your
Yeah,
post
there
there
you
where
go.
it's got them all listed. So if anybody wants
Yeah,
to see that, they can hop onto your Instagram and check that out. Agetory77. So, or Agitory, how are you saying it?
it's actually a Japanese word.
Okay.
Um, so I think it's like agiatore or something like that. It We don't have the equivalent English word for it. It means to look worse after a haircut.
I love it.
So, as someone who has always just manually shaved my head at home with a Conair buzzer,
Yep.
I just thought it was funny because whenever I grew my hair out and then went to a barber and said like, can you cut my? It just always looked terrible, and I would just go home and just shave my head. So for me, that was a perfect like email handle.
That's awesome. Cool. And then what I want to ask you too is we talked earlier about the aces and such with all of those holes, right? 30 times 18. Did you manage to get an ace in that run, or what was your favorite shot from there, if you remember? If you can even, if it's not just a blur.
No aces. As I said before, I don't in tournament rounds. I don't go for aces, and definitely in running rounds, I do not go for aces.
Yeah.
Um, because every time you go past the basket, it is extra distance that you have to run.
Mm-hmm.
I did hit basket on one hole. It was the first hole played at La Fortune.
Okay.
Not hole one because the parking lot is closer to a different hole.
Right.
I think it's like maybe hole 12. It's like a downhiller, 220-ish feet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun because when you're doing running rounds and you throw your disc, you're like, you're running after the disc. So it's almost like kind of floating in front of you.
Right.
And it's pretty cool to be halfway to the basket, when it's approaching the basket, you're like, this has a chance to go in. And it just like hit chains on the left side and didn't stick or hit basket, but it was very, very close.
That's
It
awesome.
was a very cool way to start hole one at that course. And the volunteers, like did a huge like, oh, like they wanted to see it. Like, it would have been epic to get an ace for sure.
Yeah. No,
I still do not have a running round ace, even in practice.
okay. Well, the funny thing when you say that too, Craig, is that I never thought of it, was just that you're throwing and you're not sitting there admiring your throw. You go ahead and then you actually chase that throw down. So you are running right behind it. In that La Fortune course, that was the one other course in that area I'd played. And I know exactly what you're talking about, because you pull in and you're not going to go find hole one. You're going to go take that downhill shot that takes you kind of back towards the trees in the road. If I'm remembering right, you got trees on the right hand side. So had you got that one, that's a pretty big one to get as well. That's impressive.
Would have been very cool. Yeah.
And I got one more question regarding the record side of it from my podcast partner here. How many discs did you use when you were playing? Did you just take 3, or what did you do?
It varies on the course. A lot of courses I would just use 3. And then longer courses, 4 or maximum of 5.
Okay.
Carrying more than 5 discs becomes uncomfortable. Weight wise, as well as holding onto them and not dropping them as you're running.
Right.
Which again wastes time.
Yeah. Oh, well, that makes sense.
And,
now,
yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, I was going to say, and for running rounds, time is the only thing that matters. You don't play for score.
Right.
You run and you're chasing the disc and you're watching where it's going so that you don't have to search for it.
Mm-hmm.
That takes time. You're trying to play down the middle, again, like I said before, so that you're just playing straight at the basket the whole way. Say you throw to the edge of C1 and you're 30 feet away. Generally, I'm not running that putt. I'm throwing it straight into the ground at the basket and then just tapping in for my 3 and going to the next hole.
Yep.
That's completely fine with me. If you waste 3 or 4 or 5 seconds every hole over a day, you're not going to get to as many courses as you need to.
Yeah, man, so much. That's amazing. It's I could see how the distance running and the persistence and the mental strength that you had from that would have just played in well to this. Now, I want to say to you is that we've had Frisbee Rob on the podcast in the past, who has held some of his own Frisbee related, disc related records. And he had said to us as well, as he says, you said the world record would be broken, but even if it is broken, you're always a world record holder. That never changes. You held a world record no matter how long of time that was. And that just stuck out in my head. But have you had a chance, do you know about Frisbee Rob? Have you met him or had a chance to share stories at all?
I have not heard of him. Okay. Apologies. I will go look it up. I only know of for the most part, Michael Sale, who did the most holes in a day in the States at the Tiki course.
Okay.
So he did, I think, 1,800 holes in a day, but those holes averaged, I think, like 90 feet.
Oh, okay. I think maybe I saw some of those videos where the basket for one hole, the tee pad is almost like right next to it. Is that the guy who was doing
Correct.
that? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a C2 putting course almost.
Right.
So that's how he was able to do so many holes in a day. He also had like a support staff that would have 2 or 3 discs for him on the pad of each hole, which I personally don't know how that's okay. That's
Exactly.
that's kind of a huge advantage to not have to mind your discs and to pick them up all day.
That's a fair point.
But I completely give him kudos for his total kilometers in a day. I think his was 136.8.
Holy crow. Yeah.
Which was the goal for the Throw for More. One of the goals anyways.
Nice. Well, yeah, when you do check out Frisbee Rob, what you'll see is he's a guy who goes out to schools. He was an ultimate player. He does a lot of classroom stuff about perseverance and that, where he does like in a gym and he's throwing Frisbees into basketball nets and that type of thing. But one of the records that he was holding, and it was one of his best videos that he had out there, was actually throwing a frisbee with a dog, and it was across a CFL football field to, I think the dog's name was Sailor, and it was the longest throw and catch with a dog. So I would say, now that you have a couple golden doodles, as you said, do you play frisbee catch with them? Do they like that, or?
I keep all my discs away from them. They strictly get the Kong dog balls.
Gotcha.
Yeah, those are for them, and the frisbees are for me. I have seen that highlight at the CFL game. I just didn't know that was him.
Yeah, that's him. So there you go.
So that's cool.
Now, do you have any, now as we kind of wrap up the chat on the records, do you have any other records in your mind now that you've kind of gotten the taste for it that you want to either set or try to break?
Possibly the 1 round speed record, which was a new one that was made maybe last year or the year before. There's a guy that don't even exist. You just finish a hole and start the next hole from something. It's been made fun of a little bit online by people who are like, is this a real record? And like, he doesn't even run correctly. And like, so it's like, I don't even know if I want that one, but I think I could pick, go cherry pick the shortest course that I could around here. Probably Milton, Ontario, if there's a course.
Yeah.
I could probably do 2 laps of that one in under his time. But I'm fine having my one. I don't need to be, to hog them all.
Nice. Well, that's
I'm
awesome.
fine with my one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of getting to the end of the questions that I had lined up here, but one of the ones that I noticed too is that it looks like you have a lot of Discraft discs in your posts. In that, are you kind of just a person who enjoys throwing Discraft? Are you sponsored with them? Looking to get sponsored? What's the Discraft story?
At one point in time, I tried to get on the Discraft Underground team.
Mm-hmm.
I'd submitted for a couple years. I'm not on social media enough, I think, to get what they want out of it. So I've given that up. But my tournament bag is all Discraft.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, it's kind of going to lead us into where we're going to go next. But we talked about Etobicoke. Usually at this point of the show, I tend to give my podcast partner a little bit of a history lesson or learn something based on my research. So we chatted about running. We chatted about world records. Something that we haven't talked about here, so I'm going to lead us in. Normally I get really convoluted, but I'm just going to say this. Your last name is Ireland, and not only is Ireland your last name, it's also, wait for it, it's an island. So speaking of islands...
Now it's time for Desert Island Discs. Picture this. You've taken a relaxing cruise, however the ship goes down. You manage to swim to an island, and fortunately for you, there's an 18-hole disc golf course. Which 3 discs are you taking with you on the island?
All right. So this is the part of the show where I paint a little picture for you. You're sitting there, you're out on a cruise. It's relaxing, like the 3-hour Gilligan's Island type cruise. And then all of a sudden, things go awry, things go astray, and that ship goes down. But luckily for you, you always have 3 discs with you, no matter where you go. And you swim with those discs to an island. You're on this deserted island. You're there until you get rescued. And fortunately, there's a disc golf course there. What 3 discs are you taking to the island with you?
The first disc I would have would be a Luna.
Ooh, and the dyed ones. Nice.
So that's a Greasy Dyes Luna.
Looking
Definitely
good.
have a putter. Can always throw a putter. Second disc.
Goal is, yeah, it looks awesome. I like it.
Yeah. So Buzz OS is one of my favorite discs to throw all the time. Forehand mostly, but also backhand if there's like OB deep.
Mm-hmm.
Can throw it a certain length, and then I know it's going to hook up and go left and not go too far.
Yeah.
And then third disc would be this gorgeous one.
Ooh, nice.
That is an Undertaker, also able to be thrown forehand or backhand. And this was done by Jory Flydyes, a guy who retired from the dying game. And said he would die 100 more discs, and then he's done forever. So I signed up to get one of his last 100 discs.
Oh,
So
so you got a piece of
those three
history
discs,
then, for sure, in that disc.
yeah. So those 3 discs, Luna, Buzz, OS, or sometimes a Buzz, and then Undertaker. If I'm doing a 3 disc running round, a lot of the time those would be my 3.
Sweet. And now here's the part that we don't usually highlight when we're letting our people know we're going to do Desert Island Discs. And that is, now you can bring any course that you want to the island. And that's the only course you're going to get to play. It could be something you've played before, one on your bucket list. What course are you bringing to the island with you?
Probably my favorite course in Ontario, which I would go to play anytime, would be P15.
Great choice. Yeah, Gabe has done amazing things out there at P15.
Oh yeah.
We got the chance to play it here at Nationals. It was so fantastic. Daryl, it's his favorite course of all time. We can never say much more about Gabe's course, and like we could just fawn over it forever. Because I can tell you, when I got on the course, after you got past, hole 1, hole 2, and now you're hitting 3, 4, and those signature holes, there was a point where I fell behind the group, and they're like, "Jeremy, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm just enjoying being here. I don't even just give me a minute to absorb it and suck it all in." So definitely I could see having that course on the island with you.
Yeah, P15 is a special place, and if you haven't played it, then get there, do it.
Definitely. Agreed. Well, Craig, it brings us to the end of the interview. We've taken a lot of your time and we appreciate it. But before we let you go, I want to give you a moment. If there was anything you wanted to shout out or anyone you wanted to mention, or maybe anything that we missed, this is your time.
We didn't talk about too much about Throw for More. Yeah, Throw for More I did last weekend. You guys did too.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was at Maryland Bell. It's about 1 kilometer. It's about 0.95 of a kilometer. And the goal was 6 rounds an hour for 24 hours, which would have been 1,305 holes. And
gosh.
I ended up with 1,215, pretty close. And it was 132 kilometers of running and walking.
Holy crow. I can't believe we missed that. That is amazing.
It was very painful. And thanks for people who donated to myself or the Maryland Bell team on the Throw for More donation site this past Saturday. It was fun.
Well, here I am, Craig. I'm surprised you were even able to join us tonight. Like, how are you feeling after all that? Have you recovered from it? Is your body still kind of beating you up over it?
Sunday, I pretty much slept and did nothing all day. Monday was right back to work. I run my own dog walking and running business, so it was right back to work Monday.
Wow.
The legs weren't too happy being out there, let me tell you. But we got her done, and then Tuesday was a little better, and then today, almost back to normal.
Okay.
Like the more you do it, like the first 50K I did, I was out of commission for a week. Like stairs are not your friend, going up and down stairs. Like you look like you're 120 years old. Like you can't function. Like you're trying to grab the railing and the legs just are not cooperating. But as you do more events, your body learns to recover faster. Even as you get old, like myself. The recovery time is a couple days instead of a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, good on you. This is awesome. And, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. Keep running, keep looking at those records, see if you can get that, the one you're chasing. And if we get back out to Ontario, I'll be sure to let you know, and maybe we can catch up, and maybe you'll slow down just long enough to play a quick /slow round with us when we're out there.
Oh, normal rounds, I take my time, There's you can't pass the group ahead of you. So, slow as a slow does in a tournament, there's no need to run around. And for sure, if you come to Ontario, I'll get in around with you.
Sounds
That'd be
great.
great.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig. All the best, and we'll catch up with you again.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, this is where I would turn to Daryl and I would go, man, how about that? But I'll say that to you, the listeners. How about that as a interview and as a person that maybe out here in the West you didn't know as much about, somebody who's setting records like that, like the amount of running that you have to do. And even, me, I wasn't trying to drop a mic or something and say I'd run 50 kilometers, but I was trying to maybe relate to the fact that I have a brief little bit of knowledge of what that could be like, but I can't imagine trying to do 24 hours and 30 courses like that and driving around. And like he said, that stop and the start, and how much strategy there would be to that as well. Like the throwing and chasing the disc and making sure you know where it landed. And it's not about admiring your shot. It's about getting to that shot. I wonder if there was any like high throws where Craig almost maybe caught the disc or something like that. But
I thought he'd be jump putting.
yeah, Daryl's saying, yeah, jump putting the whole way, kind of like the Thomas Gilbert 200-foot jump putts all the way down the course. But it kind of was like that, I guess, because he was saying that he was throwing it straight as he could and not going into the trees if at all possible. So just another great, amazing, awesome Canadian disc golfer, and we're glad we had a chance to talk to him tonight. This is where we like to insert the secret word part of the show. So if you've got a secret word to show that you've been listening this long, you can put it in the comments, and putting it in the comments will get you ready for that next contest we're going to do, where you're going to have to put in a comment. So not in the chat, find a way to put a comment in there. Let us know what secret word you've got. I like Golden Doodle myself, maybe. Spartan, Daryl's put in the chat. If you've got something like that, something that shows that you've been listening to the podcast, paying attention, and that you are part of it with us. And if you've lasted this long in the podcast, be sure to jump over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. The more subscribers we get, the more it allows us to have a little bit more when we go to guests and ask them to be on and show that we're doing a lot for the Canadian disc golf community. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. And if you've done all that and you've liked and commented and supported in every way you can also buy one of our hats if you want. We got those for sale for $20. You can join on Patreon, become a Patreon member, and support us that way as well. Now, right after this, we're just getting ready to wrap up. We're going to go over to our Patreon Around the Basket episode, where we're going to be doing our next fantasy picks show. Josh Kern is going to join us. We're going to pick for the BC Open. Daryl's going to be off to the side, so if you do want to get see him tonight, that's a way you can check it out. So head over to Patreon, get the free link to join us, and we'll see you over there. But this is going to be interesting. This is the point where what I heard was the Daryl rap. The drap usually happens, but we've changed it up. And now we're getting to just the solo Jeremy rap doing the drap. And we'll see how I can do. This is my big debut moment of being all by myself. So let me just check here. Check mic. Check one. Check. Sibyllus. I think the mic's working. I think I'm ready to go. DJ, can you drop the beat for me? Craig's an ultra runner. Boy, he can go on the trails and the streets in Etobicoke. Dogs by his side and discs in his hand. Buzzes and lunas. He's a discraft man. That's where I would want to continue to go, but I had to do it for Daryl. Let the break happen. He says the timing's way better, so get ready. Here is second verse. More courses in a day than me in a week. A Guinness World Record. Ain't that sweet? Speaking of Guinness, put one in my hand and let's raise a cheer for Craig Ireland. Playing MP40 and staying close to home, from Ontario all the way to Ledgestone. Our draps are hot like when in No Doubt. We're hella good, don't speak or chain out. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time. I think.